The black man who was ABC's first bachelor gave his final rose to a white female racist. But y'all black men ain't ready to have a conversation about that yet.
Now available in paperback and Kindle. Vampires stalk the darkness of the Eternal Night. Get your copy of Eternal Night in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com.
I was prepared to make a video about ABC's first black bachelor, Matt James, picking a racist to give his final rose to. But I've decided against making that video about ABC's first black bachelor, Matt James, picking a white female white racist because I know many of these black males out here just aren't ready for that discussion. Now, many of these black males a couple of years ago, they all were upset about Rachel Lindsay, the first black bachelorette, going on ABC's The Bachelor, and even I myself had made videos about your Rachel Lindsay and her deification of white men on that show. And I made several videos actually having a good laugh at this whole Rachel Lindsay because I knew what the final outcome was going to be on that bachelorette because I knew that many of these black women they deify and worship white men. But when it comes down to the subject of black men and their worship of white women, that's something that many of these black men they really don't want to have a conversation about. And ABC's The Bachelor practically takes us down that rabbit hole one more again, and it takes us down that rabbit hole where we see some very dark truths about black men and their deification and worship of white women. Because what's really troubling about this ABC Black Bachelor is that after he was told about this Rachel Kirkconnell going out to an antebellum party that celebrated the peak period of slavery, he still decided to give her his final rose. And that was even more disturbing, as I see it, than when your Rachel Lindsay was going to consider keeping a known racist on The Bachelor after she heard the truth about him. Because your Rachel Lindsay, she was told that this guy was a racist, and she was still going to keep him in contention for her rose, but eventually she decided to eliminate that guy, probably with the persuasion of the producers. But what was, again, really disturbing in this case is this Matt James, a millionaire, high value man, decides to go out here and give his rose to a woman who supports white supremacy because that's all she is if she's going out here going to parties talking about the antebellum South, because the antebellum South was a period in history which was all about celebrating slavery and the old traditions of the Old South. And the old tradition, part of the old traditions of the Old South was that this black man was considered three-fifths of a person. And again, that's really disturbing when you think about here is the high value black man, a millionaire, and here he is actually degrading his own value by choosing a woman who participates in the culture of white supremacy and participates in a culture that promotes concepts like the antebellum South. I mean, that's something that's, again, should trouble everyone, but we can't have that discussion because many of the black men in the black sector of social media, many of these black men, they just don't want to have that discussion regarding this Bachelor show and how it makes black men look as a collective. Because I say it makes black men look equally as bad as your Rachel Lindsay did a couple of years ago when she practically rejected all of those successful brothers, even in the first episode, rejecting this successful six-figure black attorney who was wearing a $6,000 Brioni suit, and then eventually picking some cigar store salesman white guy to be her final rose. And this is even more troubling because, again, here we have a high value black man, just like your Rachel Lindsay was a high value black woman. And instead of them choosing a brother or a sister to give their final rose to in an expression of black on black love, here we have the high value black man, Bachelor, showing how much self-hatred he has because he's going to go out here and pick himself not only a white woman, but a white woman who attended an antebellum party and showed how racist she truly is. I mean, that right there, again, shows how deeply dysfunctional many of these black males are and how they lust after white women. But we won't have that discussion because a lot of these black men, they just can't handle having that discussion. Yes, they'll talk about how these black women deify and worship white men, but we won't be talking about how many of these black males go out here and lust after white women. I'm not going to make any videos talking about this guy and how he picked a white supremacist in the end because I have too much to lose. Because after the passport drama of 2019, where I was trying to help black men by refuting this narrative, I'm not going through any of that drama dealing with all of these black men out here as related to this whole Bachelor situation. And after seeing YouTuber Minister Jap practically get attacked after talking about passports with these black men, I'm not about to drop any more blood in that pool of sharks because it's just too dangerous for me. And I lost so much, so many Facebook friends, so many Patreon donors. I have too much to lose, and that's why I'm not making any videos about this black bachelor and his decision to go out here and pick a racist to give his final rose to, because this whole situation with this black bachelor, this is something that is something straight out of David Carroll's rabbit hole. And he himself, a couple of years ago, said, if you put this white man and this white woman 100 yards away and have the black man and the black woman 100 yards away in a dash, it would be a photo finish. And this whole situation here practically proves David Carroll's point about many of these bedbugs and their obsession with white women. And this whole situation, again, shows us how a high-value black man will compromise his intangibles of manhood, like his dignity, his self-respect, and his self-worth, all to get some access to some white panty draws. And that's what we have here that's really sad is, again, here we have the high-value six-figure black bachelor, and he's willing to compromise his moral position just to get access to some white panty draws. And this is really sad because this is a racist who hates black people, because only a person who hates black people and sees black people as less than is going to participate in an antebellum party. But we have this so-called high-value man actually compromising his own value, showing us how little self-esteem and self-worth he has, because he wants to go get himself some access to some white panty draws. But we can't talk about that, because if we talk about that, many of these black males in cyberspace and social media, they will go berserk. And we can't have these black males going berserk, because what will happen is they will actually, ironically, make black men look worse as a collective than this black bachelor who picked this racist, because they will put their dysfunction on display. So I can't make that video talking about this black bachelor picking a racist to give his final rose to, because many of these black men, again, can't handle it, and they will make statements trying to deny things, talking about how, oh, this show is scripted, this show is rigged. But what I find interesting is these same people were saying the show was real when Rachel Lindsay was picking the white man, but when the black man picks the white woman, oh, it's scripted and real. But no, we have two pictures of both the black man and the black woman, and both of them really made black people look bad as a collective, because instead of them using the Bachelor platform to promote black on black love, we got a grand picture of black self-hatred. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct Imprint, you can pick up those books on Amazon.com. I will not be talking about this issue in depth, because this issue is something that many black men just can't handle. And I'm not going to go into any more details about this whole subject of this bachelor, because this is not a conversation many of these black men out here can handle. So that's all I'm going to ever say in this video. And I'm probably going to turn the comment section off, because these guys are just too crazy and they can't handle this type of commentary.
Coming to paperback and e-readers this April, Isis: Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door must take on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis: Revenge of the Cyber Goddess in paperback and e-readers this April.